So today we'll see inbound process. When you talk about inbound process, the process what we have already discussed is from a legacy system to Oracle application system. Oracle application system. So we'll be getting a data file, and this data file has to be sent to Oracle application system. The data file, what we have already seen, like we are getting as an outbound, right? We are creating a comma separator file, and using outbound, they'll be creating a data file and they'll be sending us. So once the data file comes, it is in text file, and I said that has to be converted into a table format. It means you have to copy the data into a temporary table. So you will be creating a table. Once it is in the table format, then you can do a column mapping and send to the Oracle application. Now once it is in the table, how do you send it? Using SQL loader program. SQL loader program, in the sense this is one of the method while registering a connection program. So like PL/SQL procedure, Oracle report, SQL loader is also one of the method. So using SQL loader, you will be creating a connection program, and you will be sending to temporary table. Okay. From there, you will write PL/SQL procedure. PL/SQL procedure to do business validations. And once the PL/SQL procedure is done, you will send to the interface table. And from there, you will run an open interface program, which is given by Oracle, and we shall go to Oracle application. This is the process. So I have one of the interface. Let's discuss on that. GL interface. First of all, we'll be getting a data file, right? So the data file is, it can be .dat or it can be .csv file. So let's open this. So the data file is something like this. There is a currency code, combination ID, enter debit and credit, okay, reference for credit name. So like this, we have columns, which is USD 16903. This is code combination ID. This is a GL interface, what we are talking about, general ledger interface, which is journals. All these are journals, are nothing but the transactions. So what happens every day. So 16903 is a code combination. What is a code combination? Code combination is nothing but called as, it can be more than one column. Okay. 16903 can be like 16 can be a company number, and 9 can be a product, 03 can be a department. So whenever you define a multi-arg, you will be defining chart of accounts. Chart of accounts are nothing but the accounting names like furniture, salary, cash account, bank account, like this. For each and every account, they'll be giving some numbers. So when you do a transactions, you don't need to enter like cash account, bank account like this manually. And when you select all those, also the codes will be selected and it will be confidential so that other people cannot understand what's happened. Let's say they have defined something called as cash account, then employee number and salary account, and I'm paying some amount, 4,000. So let's say cash account has 01 number, employee number is 3040, salary account is 34, and I am giving 4000. So if you write like this, the 01304, okay, 3040 and 34 is a combination. So in that 01 is cash, 3040 is an employee number, salary is 34, account, okay, and 4000 number. This can be understandable by the business user, but a layman cannot understand this. What is this? Instead of writing cash, employee number, salary and all, they'll be writing code combination, which is called as codes. Okay, while defining chart of accounts, they'll define like this. So this is something like code combinations is given here. Okay. Sometimes they will be giving separately also, like 16903. So when they give separate, what happens? Each and every code is stored in one of the columns. Those columns will be given. Okay. So either individually they'll give or they'll give a combination. Next is debit and credit amount. And from where did we get the value that is a reference? Period name is in which month of period this data is. This was November 6 journals. The data file is already here. Now the next step of what we said is once the data file is already there, you have to send this data file to your table into a table format, right? So every module will have something called as an interface table, temporary table. When we talked about types of tables, we discussed like all tables, underscore interface tables, underscore VL, like this. Okay. So when we create a table, temporary table, we will be taking the source from interface table rather than we create table name and all manually from scratch. We will take the source or example as an interface table because whatever the columns you will be sending to interface table, okay, whatever the data you send to finally to interface table, and from there it will go to Oracle application table. If you take an example of an interface table, the columns will be mapping, right, or the columns will be matching exactly. So that's the reason we take interface table as an example and we create it. So that interface table will have all the column names which is in your main table. Okay, so the interface table name of GL is GL interface. So I'll be creating a table, create table name as select star from GL interface where 1 equal to 2. When you say where 1 equal to 2, the condition is not 2, so it is false condition. Whenever you want to create a temporary table with an existing table, you can write like this. So what happens is it creates a table with the same columns without data when you say 1 equal to 2. Next, once the table is already here, I'm just adding 3 more columns to the table. Alter table name, add record ID, error flag, error message. Why I'm adding all these 3 columns is I'll be transferring all the data to this table. After transferring the data, as I said, I'll be doing a PL/SQL validation. Okay. While doing PL/SQL validation, I want to check each and every record, process every record and see, okay, I want to give for each and every record one number, sequence number, which is record ID, and I want to give an error flag and error message. If that is success, I'll give success. If it is failure, I'll give error. Okay. Error message, if it is success, I'll give success message. If it is failure, I'll give failure message. I just want to update the table with the error message, error flag, and the sequence number. Okay. Next is I'm just creating one more table. Create table name, record ID, error message, error code. Okay. VS sample error table, record ID, error message, error code. So whenever while processing the data, if I get some errors, I will be writing only to write the errors. I'm creating one table. This is the process what we follow in every interface. We will capture all the errors in one table and we'll keep it so that we'll come to know in the process of doing interface what kind of issues we got and what solutions we have given to that error, so that tomorrow in case someone is working with the same kind of interface, they'll come to know what is exactly the errors and what kind of solutions you have given. So to track that, they will just create one error table and they will write it everything into error table. For that reason, I created one table. Now, manually, if you want to insert a data and see into a table after creating it to just test, you can write insert into table name and all. Next is I just created a sequence. As just using record ID, if you see record ID is one of the column in temporary table as well as error table. Record ID is nothing but the sequence number what I want to give for each and every record, like 1, 2, 3, 4. To give the sequence number, I created a sequence called as an object. Create sequence number. Sequence is something, a database object which will help you to automatically generate numbers. Start with 10, increment by 1, max value, and minimum value is 1. Cache cycle. It means it will clear the memory. Cache means reserve the memory, clear memory. Cycle means it will continue. Once it reaches to 1, that is 10,000. Again, cycle means it will start with minimum value as 1. So this is a script which is created for the tables and all. Once the tables are created, the next one what we do is we need to transfer the data. To transfer the data, we will be writing one code which is called as control file. So the control file's syntax is like this: load data, in file gl interface 1.dat, that is nothing but the data file name. Here this one. Okay. Into table vs.gl journal imported staging table, which is called as temporary table or staging table, like this. Okay, you'll write insert into, instead of insert into, you'll just write into. Fields terminated by comma. So whatever the separator is between the data, you will write that. You will mention that. Optionally enclosed by single quotes. Okay, sometimes what happens is the data is already in quotes like this test1 and all, so you will just mention this also. Trailing null columns. If you have null columns also, consider it. Here you have null column. Okay, this is syntax. And then you will write all the column names what you have in order. Create reference order. Finally, you are writing a record ID which is a sequence. Sequence can always be referred like this: sequence name dot next file. Okay. So this is called as control file, CTL file. This CTL file will be written like this in the same process because this is a standard base syntax. We will be writing this. And .dat file and .ctl file both will be copied in bin folder, like how we copy reports and reports folder, SQL and SQL folder, we will copy in bin folder. We'll have something called as bin. For every module we will have GL, AP, AR like this. Now this is in GL, so we'll copy in GL source, okay, GL top, which is GL and bin. So once you write this control file, copy this file, now create a concurrent program. In the executable, you will give this GL underscore interface as an executable file name, and executable method will be SQL loader. So next is normal process. Create a concurrent program, assign to the request group, run the concurrent program. The data will be transferred to this table. Okay, this is called as SQL loader method. So once the data is already in this table, what you need to do, as I said, like we need to send to the interface table. Before that, we have to do business validation. Now I'm saying currency code USD, whether the currency code is already defined in the system or not. Okay, and then period name, November 16th, whether the calendar has been defined in the system or not. What I'm showing this GL interface is an old data and cannot be processed because November 6th data will be already closed, periods will be closed. So for a sample data, I'm just showing it. And GL interface, if you want to execute and if you want to test it, you should have a proper valid business setups to be done in the system. and you should also execute this script when a proper business setups are there, and then only it is possible. So now, right now, it will be like Jan 14th of your year, so March or something. So you'll not have the data. So we'll only see the code of this, and one of the interface we'll have, I'll show you practically. But this is a good interface to explain, and it will be easy to understand. So I'm just showing you this. So now this is already done, everything. So once the data is already here, then the next step is, as I said, you will be writing a PL/SQL validation. So in PL/SQL validation, this is nothing but PL/SQL package what you will be writing. I'm just opening a specification. I said create or replace package, package name. These are the variables what I defined, and these are the procedures. We created an error table, right? To capture that errors into the table, I created a procedure. Inside the procedure, I will write insert into table name values. Validations. To do business validations, I wrote one procedure. To insert into interface table, I write one procedure. All these procedures will be called in a procedure called as main. So initially, first this will be called import validation. Inside import validation, error procedure will be called. After that, insert it. All these variables, when you define at the package specification, it is called as global variables. Okay, it means you can use these variables anywhere in the package, like a placeholder column in Oracle reports. Next is fnd global dot user ID. fnd global dot user ID is something like whenever a user logs into the system, at runtime you can capture the user ID. So fnd underscore global is a PL/SQL package which is given by Oracle. So the package specification is like this, and when you go to package body, let's go to main procedure first. This is the main procedure for error code and error buff. As I told you, you can write any names. Okay, these are the two variables what we have defined, error code and error buff, v error code. After begin, I'm calling two procedures: import validation, insert into interface. The first procedure I call this. Okay, v code and v error buff is the out variables. When you get any issues, you will pass to this. In the same way, GL interface is the same, and the main and the package. Now, first import validation will be called, right? So import validation process starts. So here the procedure is procedure name. I just said cursor name is select star from the temporary table. I'm just reading the data. Each and every record I'll check whether this record is valid or not. What will I check? As I said, the currency code is defined in the system or not. What he has sent me the data, whether the period name is there or not. Whether the code combination ID is already defined in the system or not. Okay, we'll check all that. So validation for setup book ID, which is nothing but GL setup books. What is setup books? Like chart of account, calendar, currency are called the setup books. And the company name is Vision Operation. So whether setup book ID is available or not in GL setup books, it means chart of accounts are defined or not also. Okay, I've opened my cursor in for loop for variable in cursor loop. So once the select is executed, in case this doesn't work, it will go to exception. I wrote 3 exceptions: no data found, too many rows, and one other. In no data found, I am saying error flag equal to E, error code equal to 1, and error message equal to setup book ID is not existing. Okay. So GL setup books is a table for setup book ID. If this data is not there here with vision operations, if something is not there, it will come to no data form. So I said error flag equal to E, error code equal to 1. Setup book ID is not existing. So I'll just put a message, error message and error code. I'm just calling VIS GL error procedure. This is one of the other procedure where I'm just calling and passing all these three parameters: record ID, error message and error code. Let's go and see VIS GL error procedure, what it is doing. VIS GL error procedure, record ID, error message, error code. I just came here as an insert into VIS sample error table, record ID, error message and error code, and values, all this, and commit. So whenever there is an error, I'm calling this procedure so that I can capture those errors, as I said. But then, in general, whenever a procedure got error, it means when the data is not there, it has gone to exception part. It means it is not in a success state. When it is not in a success state, how can it execute other procedure? Normally, it doesn't execute other procedure because in one procedure, if you want to execute another procedure, it should be in success state. Then only you can execute it. Now it is in error state, right? When no data found is in exception state. It will not execute. If you want to execute any procedure in exception state also, then you have to define this procedure, okay, as procedure name is Pragma Autonomous Transaction. When you define a procedure as Pragma Autonomous Transaction, okay, that procedure gets executed even in error state also. Whether it is success state or error state, that will be executed. That's the reason we'll be defining a procedure like this. So I'm just calling that procedure when no data found in too many rows in others. To just make difference what exception I got, I'm just making 1, 2, 3. So by that I can understand, okay, 3 means when it had first gone to when others. Okay. Next, validation for currency code. Okay. The cursor GS staging dot currency code is nothing but the currency code what we have in the cursor staging table. It means the temporary table where we got USD. Whether that USD is available in FND currencies table or not. Okay, issuing territorial US. It means if the currency is defined, you have defined United States currency or Canada currency, or you have defined pounds, or you have defined euros. What did you define in your system? So to bring any data, first of all, configuration is important to the system. While configuring the system, we will be defining all this: currency, chart of accounts, calendar, company name, departments, employees. Master data is important. Whether that master data is available or not, one-time data is available or not, we'll check. Save here also. No data found, too many rows, others. Like this, I'll be checking some other validations. Period name. The calendar is Corp calendar. Whether the calendar is available or not. And the period name November 6th, what we have in cursor, it means in the table, is available in GL periods or not. If the periods are open only, then we will be entering the data for GL. Every month, you will have January, February, March, like this months, and those are called as periods. Calendar will have 12 months. So every month when you write into book something, you will just write the data and you will close that book. So next month when you write something, you will open another new book. Every month you will be maintaining a separate book actually, which is called as. So whether that is available or not, we will check. Okay, Corp calendar and the period name is available or not. If it is closed, we cannot write anything into that book again. Okay, so Here also we'll see an exception when no data found, too many rows. Okay. This code combination ID. In cursor, there is a code combination ID 16903, whether that is available or not. As I told, if it is given as individual, it will be given as individual columns like segment 1, segment 2, segment 3. If we have individually, then we have to check like this. For future purpose, we just return the code and left it. So here also we'll see the message. So validation of source is commented, and category is also not required because it is not given. So you will see all this, and we will see if error flag equal to E, then update BSGL journal import if that is our temporary table, set error flag equal to E, error message equal to V, error message what we have, and the record ID. You remember I said in temporary table I have 3 columns I have created, added 3 columns. So for each and every record I will update that error flag, error message, and record ID in case if I have error. If it is not there, I'll just put error flag equal to B, valid. Okay. So if it is not error, I'll update error flag equal to B, successfully validated, the setup book ID, code combination and all. So this is end loop commit. Like this, I'll check each and every record and I'll update. Once validation is done, the next is your insert into interface. After import validation, the next procedure what we'll be calling is VSGL insert into interface, right? So here we'll say cursor name, select star from VSGL journal imported where 1 equal to 1, error flag equal to V. Only the valid records I want to execute it. Okay. I just declared a row type variable here. I'm just opening the cursor. I can just write insert into GL interface values cursor variable dot column name. For each and every column I can write like that. But instead of writing insert into, this is one of the style where you can map all the columns. RVSGL import dot status. RVSGL is nothing but the row type variable. Okay, you can just assign like this row type dot variable name. I mean the column name, that's nothing but in the table whatever the columns are there, you will just map it like this in the table in the loop. For status you're saying new. Okay, status is a column which will help you to identify what are the new records to be processed. So if you put new, once you copy the data in interface table, as I said, from interface table to base table, when you want to take the data, you will run an open interface program which is given by Oracle. How will open interface program identify what records has to be processed? If you put anything new, it will just take that new records and it will process. That's the reason for processing anything we will be putting new. Next is setup book ID, which we have 16903. Sys date, currency code. Here also will have this date created. User ID, the global variable what we have captured, who was logged in. And some of the values they'll give you hard-coded values. They'll say you just add all this. Okay, actual flag, adjustment category name, manual, sys date and all. So here also conversion type is user, the conversion rate, dollar conversion rate is 45 at that day. If they don't give, we just put null, which are not important. Debit credit we are getting from cursor again. Like this, we will map everything, all the columns which you have in interface table. And finally, you would say insert into GL interface RVSGL import. So end loop and then commit. So once this is done, this is already an interface table. So once it is an interface table, what is the next process? We have to run an open interface program and go to Oracle application. So what is the open interface program? Open interface program is journal import is an open interface program once this is there. So if you enter journal import, you will see the program in general ledger responsibility. If you run the journal import interface program, automatically the data will be transferred to GL table. I was searching, we have screenshots somewhere. Journal import is the program. Okay, you have to run this with GL super user and say journal import. So once you run this, okay, you will be transferred the data into GL underscore JE this GL underscore JE GL underscore JE batches. These are the three tables where the data will transfer. So this is how the inbound program interface is. We will see one more interface which is called as item interface, which can be tested in the system. GL we cannot test it because that should be the present data and all. And item interface is nothing but just giving item details. When you buy the item, well, let's say you got some stock and you bought some items into your organization. All the item details will be entered into your system. Entering all the item details into the stocking system or the stock room. So this can be seen, and we'll explain. I mean, we'll go with this interface tomorrow. I'll explain you this tomorrow. Okay. Nivali, now we'll stop the class today. We'll continue tomorrow with the item interface.
Okay, Venkat.